Greetings, mortals. It is I, Remortis, coming at you with a guide for a new game called Palworld. This game honestly took me by surprise, as I had no idea about it, was not on my radar until a few friends at work mentioned about it. So I took a look at it over this weekend, and oh boy, have I found a game. Combining so many different elements of many different games I really love. Survival games, monster capturing, base building, you name it. Love that stuff. Anyways, this guide is going to be going over a few things to worry about in the early game. Let's just get right into it, shall we? Alright, so starting off, one of the very first things I highly recommend is starting on at least normal mode, if not casual. Going on hard mode, like I did at first, made it a lot tougher than it needed to be. Not only do you do less damage, you also take more damage, meaning you'll get one shot more often and die, and then not only do you drop your items on the ground, you also drop your pals as well. So when you're still learning the game, I do not recommend playing on hard difficulty unless you're a true glutton for punishment. So one of the very first things to do when you first get to the game is obviously capture these pals. And honestly, that's one of the best ways to gain experience in the game. So really in the first beginning part of the game, gather a few resources to build a little bit of a base, but really you should be focusing on just capturing as many pals as possible. Especially catching at least 10 of each pal, as you get bonus experience for each one up to 10. This is huge, and it also scales on your level too, so even if you feel like you missed out on the early game, you can still go back and catch each of these pals and still get that huge chunk of XP. And it's percentage based, not based on your actual level, so just something to consider. Okay, so one of the first things we want to worry about when we first make our character is how to invest our stats. As you can see here, each of them have different weights for how much they're increased. And honestly, investing in an attack is not worth it at all. As you see, it only increases by 2. That's hardly anything. And even then, if you do max out your attack, it's still going to be paled in comparison to all of your pals. So honestly, I think the 3 that you should really worry about is your hit points, your stamina, and your weight. I also like to put a little bit of work speed up to 200 at least, because since it goes up by 50, just until for the early part of the early game. One thing to consider with your stats is that you cannot respect these, so be careful where you invest your stats. I would just invest work speed up to 200, and then after that just invest into weight, stamina maybe up to 200 as well, and then the rest into your hit points. Stamina will just let you do things a lot longer. Work speed again will help you produce things, and once you get some specific pals, you won't need to worry about work speed anymore, but this will at least help you speed things up in the early game. And then weight obviously lets you carry more things. Getting it to about 500 is a pretty good bet, but you might want more if you want to do longer trips to haul more goods. Otherwise, investment in hit points is a good way to go. So most of the early game, you're just going to be crafting lots of pal spheres and catching as many pals as possible. Eventually, you'll be able to get some pals that will help you gather things, such as wood and stone, and you'll actually be able to create buildings that will help you produce that stuff. So in the meantime, make sure you're using axes on trees and pickaxes on stone, and you should be just fine. Another thing to note is, in the middle of combat, you can use a dodge by pressing your left control by default, or setting it to another option. I know many people should know this, but there are plenty of those who do not realize that you can actually dodge in this game. In addition to dodging, you can actually do a bit of a slide, especially downhill. This can help you get down things a lot quicker. And once you eventually get a parachute, you can use that technique to jump up things quicker. One of the other huge tips I can offer in the early game is invest in a shield as soon as possible. This will save your life on so many occasions and can prevent you from being one-shot by many of the monsters as you get further into the game. So the majority of the early game is you crafting pal balls and going around and capturing things, and that can be quite a hefty investment. So I highly suggest capturing this pal called Vixy, because when it is stationed on your base and you have a ranch, it'll have potential to produce balls and arrows. The potential to produce pal balls and arrows, which is huge. Especially getting just a bunch of free ones, and it also just saves you time and Not necessarily, this saves you plenty of time. Vixies can often be found in this vertical range here, as shown by our PAL deck. If you go to your location, on any of your and any of the PALs, if you already have them or if you've seen them, you can see here down here in the bottom right called Habitat. By default, the hotkey is 3, so you can press 3, and now look at that. So I can find Vixies all along this route. So I highly suggest getting at least 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of these on your base and just have them in your ranch producing PAL balls and arrows. This is a huge time saver. And as you can see, after a short journey, it looks like our Vixy got us a bit of PAL balls as well as some coins and some arrows. And we also have our cat over here, our Mao also collecting coins, and then our lamb ball gathering wool, and a chickpea weighing eggs as well. Pretty sweet as passive gathering. So another huge thing I really suggest all early game players to grab is try to find a Duskhowl. These are really awesome pals, as they give you the ability to ride them at level 9. You'll be able to get a harness on them, and they're incredibly fast. You'll be able to explore the world and get to places really quickly. Alright, now that we've built our saddle, we can just go ahead and ride. Look at that. Look how much faster we are now. This is our base speed without even using our running. Running lets us do a little bit more. While holding shift, we can run a little quicker. Without it, we still run rather quickly. This helps you to traverse this world much quicker. One thing to note, though, is if you find a Duskhowl or any mount or any potential PAL that can be mounted, as long as they have the, see down here, if you find one that has the runner or swift or something similar passive skill, you'll be able to move a lot quicker. As you see here, we have swift. We also have motivational leader, which increases your player speed. I'm not entirely sure if it stacks with this, but it sure feels like it because we zoom, as you can see. This is our normal running speed. Still really quick, just like the other one, but it feels a little quicker. And now when we hold shift to run even faster, we are zooming. We can quickly dodge by just running around, and if I had enough ammo, I could easily kill this boss. I could easily kill this boss. Or if we feel like we've had enough, we can always just run away. Nothing will be able to catch us at speed. Another thing to consider is when you're riding your wolves, is that you take no fall damage as of currently. Not only that, but you can also run on water, but you will lose stamina by doing so. As you can see, as our stamina bar begins to decrease. Oh, this is shallow water. Oh no, this is deep enough that we start losing our stamina. And once our stamina is fully depleted, our PAL will begin to take damage. And one of my last tips is actually finding this location, which is always here on the map, and it is probably one of the more crucial things to really help you get your journey going. And it is by locating the small settlement right here, this little plains area. This is an NPC town. Quite amazing as it has 2 merchants. One is a PAL merchant, which lets you buy specific PALs that has a rotating stock. So say you have trouble finding a certain PAL, sometimes they're here, and they do cost quite a bit. However, it's also a good way to help find specific traits, but that's a more advanced thing that we'll worry about in a later time. So you can also buy PALs, but you could also sell them as well. So all those extras that you keep collecting, you can go ahead and sell them if you feel like you need to do that. There is other purposes of capturing multiple PALs, but that's, again, for an advanced thing that we'll cover in a later video. This town also has a wandering merchant as well, which sometimes will come by near your base, but this is the location where you can always find them. They have various schematics for some cosmetics, but then they also have some crucial things you might be lacking, whether it be wool, leather, bones, horns, any of these elemental organs, which are all used for crafting, and then berry seeds and wheat seeds to help some of your farming going. But those are pretty easy to come by. The wheat seeds are a little harder than the berries, obviously. But nonetheless, this place is here, and it is amazing. I always stop by over here to sell my goods or to sell pals I don't want. Or perhaps I'm looking for a specific pal and maybe I want a specific trait. Maybe this is another location to find that. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this guide, and I hope you guys look forward to even more Palworld guides in the future. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more guides like these. Or comment down below and give your crucial tips, beginners as well. And fear not, we will have a beginner base building tutorial coming in a vid shortly. Hopefully with this guide, it aids you to explore this world, capture more pals, and more importantly, enjoy this incredible game. Alright everyone, my name is Remortis, and I will catch you in a future guide. Farewell for now.